Essential characteristics are saying the following. It's on-demand self-service, so it depends on the end user when he wants to provision it, and he can do it himself. So no bureaucracy behind, no administration behind, no phone calls. I want to be able to help myself, so it's self-care. It's accessible over network. I mean, broad network access means that you don't care where you're from, actually, in terms of the cloud. Service just comes out of the internet. By the way, maybe this is a good moment. Do you know how the term cloud was made? When TCP/IP protocol was invented, so I don't know, 30 years ago, people trying to describe this concept of the IP packets that actually had their headers, and in headers they had a destination and source address, and then were sent somewhere on the network, and network would decide. So every router would decide based on this information that was in the header of the IP packet how to put the packet forward. Those were drawn as a clouds. And the synonym of cloud was saying basically once you send the packet with its destination address, you don't care how it's switched through the network, actually. So it was very different from the previous, let's say, switch-based or commutation of the channels. So it's not commuting channels, it's rather commuting IP packets, which you don't know how the route looks like, but you just send it and the packet lives on its own. Exactly the same analogy today works with the cloud, which says that you don't care where the service is coming from, you don't care who is behind it, what technology is behind it, you just get it from the cloud. So it's complete abstraction for the end customer in terms of all technical complexities are hidden away from the end user. We're talking about resource pooling. Resource pooling is a cloud business. So the business model of cloud providers is to put as much as possible computing resources on one location in order to achieve economies of scale. It's a lot easier to manage 10,000 servers in one location than 10,000 servers in 1,000 locations. This is the business of the cloud provider. Their business is making the unitary cost lower by combining as much as possible computing resources on a single location and consolidating the joint functions. Joint functions like security, maintenance, heating, or air conditioning, and so on. It's rapidly elastic, which means that cloud is smart enough to scale the service according to your needs. There are some examples. For example, Rackspace provides this thing of CPU bursting. CPU bursting would say the following, that when you sign up for a virtual server, you sign up for a guaranteed amount of CPU power that is in your package. But if your workload reaches 100%, they're able to extend your CPU power if there are available resources on that particular server, physical server. This is only one example, but it same works for memory, for hard disk, and so on. So the idea behind is you don't have to care, especially in the platform as a service scenario, you don't take care about scalability. Cloud cares about scalability. And finally, that is measurable. Today, when we talk about hosting, we talk about pay-as-you-go principle. You subscribe for a service, every month you get a bill, and no matter what's happening on your server, whatever you subscribed for, you're being invoiced. Many cloud providers are even today working in that respect, but from the academic perspective, cloud is all about metering what you're actually using. It's not pay-as-you-go, what we were marketing as a business model of hosting, pay-as-you-go. It's pay-as-you-use, meaning that whatever you don't use, actually you don't pay. This is why Amazon is charging per hour. They're getting closer to this. So they're not charging per month, they're charging per hour. Many other cloud providers are also charging per hour. The idea behind would be that you really pay only for the useful processor cycles that you use at your virtual server, not for the full amount that you subscribe to. But this is the distant future. And finally, some common characteristic. I don't want to go very deeply into those, but it's about scale, it's about homogeneity, it's about virtualization, low-cost software, and also low-cost hardware. So cloud providers are scaling out. They're not scaling up. They're adding more and more cheap servers that are working together on the single workload. And that's the basic concept of grid. That was present by, I don't know, 15 years ago, actually. It's resilient, so if one of these low-cost servers fails, the service itself is not interrupted. Geographically distributed, it's service-oriented, and, of course, security as a big concern and problem for the cloud. But why now? So why now we are talking about cloud? And this is my take. Basically, telcos made it possible. Telcos, by their internal competition within their sector, actually were forced to provide more and more broadband for the same price. In order to keep the same price levels, every 18 months they had to increase the capacity of the links that they are providing to the end customers, just to remain competitive, not to acquire new customers, but just to keep what they already have. And it's a highly competitive market, by the way, both in mobile and in fixed. So what happened there? I mean, every 18 months, maybe you're realizing I'm talking about Moore's law in broadband, which is actually valid for broadband as well as for memory or a CPU or whatever. So telcos kept on investing into building huge broadband infrastructure, and cloud services become possible in a way that broadband was really a non-issue anymore. At the moment when broadband stopped being an issue, all these scenarios that were present here 10 years ago were actually viable for the end customers, were viable all over the world. And then we see the cloud revolution. But the fact is they made it possible. Also, the fact is that they've been avoided in the revenue sharing of the cloud revenues, which are substantial at the moment at around, I would say, $60 billion US dollars annually, the cloud market. And telcos are looking for the ways on how to get their share of that. So let me stay on the telecom for a while, and I'm going to give some ideas on their advantages, inhibitors for the telecoms in developing cloud strategies, and strategic imperatives, as I say, that in order to be successful, they have to change something. And this is my view, basically. So what they're saying today, they're controlling the access to the cloud. They control the network. Telecoms are the only one who can actually offer integrated SLAs. So all the Amazon, Rackspace, and others, they can guarantee SLAs, so service level agreement. They can guarantee that on the exit from their data center. Because when they exit from the data center, the packets, as we said, live their own life somewhere on the internet. We don't know actually what's going on there. So they cannot therefore guarantee for the route. They don't know about latency to the end customer. Telecoms control that. By providing, let's say, managed virtual private network together with the cloud service, they can say we are only able to fully guarantee the expected service level for the end customer. But this is just the same. They have a billing mechanism. In the countries where, let's say, electronic payments are not that advanced, and I guess in my country it's around 15%. The 15% is the internet-enabled population that is willing to give their credit card on the internet. I don't know whether it's similar here, but 100% of the population is actually paying a phone bill, and they have no issues. They have no issues with that. They already have a significant customer base. It's easy for them to upsell on that customer base. They have a huge financial power, and it's likely that we will see more acquisitions from telcos towards the hosting community in the future. They have large data centers, so they have a place to host the infrastructure. And finally, they have a customer trust, because customers, when they receive the telco bill, they go and pay. Inhibitors, they're lacking agility. They're lacking innovation capacity in terms that they are focused in protecting their old business. They're not really into developing new businesses. They have a lot to lose. That's why they are very, very slow. They have very expensive product development cycles. They're not used to living in this fast-changing world. They are investing in infrastructure. This is their business model. So what they put in the network is here to stay for next 100 years. So it's optimized for infrastructure play. The size of legacy business is too big. So all new stuff that we are actually seeing is not attractive enough for the telecom executives. So if they enter into the hosting market, for example, they will make in hosting market, I don't know, not 1%, but 0.01% of their legacy business in maybe 2 years. So do you think that the board of telco will discuss that business? No? And finally, I have to hurry up. Strategic imperatives for them. So I believe it's going to be done through acquisitions. They will have to take their ICT departments out of the telecoms. They will carve it out. They will put it as a separate companies to be governed by a separate set of rules. They will open up their infrastructure for developers, for partners, for customers. Actually, they need to attract innovation to their networks, to their infrastructure. They will need to enter the push sales instead of pull sales. They have to proactively approach their customers and sell the services they're offering now, and completely redesign the customer support interfaces for the new business. The hosters, and I think I'll have to finish with that because we are close to the end. Hosters do have certain advantages over them, but also some inhibitors, and this is how I see it. Maybe we can discuss in the break. Is their core business. They've been in this business for many years so far. They do have a built-in efficiency in terms that they are used to doing things cheap because of the fact they had to remain competitive in their markets. They do have innovation capacity and needed flexibility for the changes that are coming, and they are probably more intimate to their customers than telcos are. So they know them better. Therefore, they can probably better serve their needs. On the other hand, cloud is business of economies of scale. So it's all about size. Hosters don't have that needed size. Currently, I don't really see a content for the local hosters. And when I say about content, I'm talking about software as a service. You really need to provide very appealing end-user scenarios for the companies to come to you, actually, that you are able to discuss things with business executives instead of system engineers. And there is a lot more added value in that than in virtual servers. Privacy and security concerns of your customers. Your customers are trading in some of the, let's say, great benefits that are receiving from the cloud offering for the fact that they are giving up their own privacy, their own security. They have to believe it that you will not read their CRM pipelines, that you will not look into their figures if you're hosting their ERP systems, stuff like that. It's not only about security, but it's also about privacy. They have to completely have trust in the hosting operator. Cloud standards are still emerging. The vendor landscape is not clear. So where to go, to which vendor to bet your hosting infrastructure on. The financial power can be a problem. Financial power, which these guys before have. As I said, acquire more content. Acquire it through strategic partnerships. Acquire it through syndication models. When I say syndication, I mean you can become a reseller of different cloud services. Therefore, you only host a portal which leads your customers to different cloud providers. Shift from IT audience to business audience. These partnership frameworks, I had more on that, but maybe next time. and basically, you have to build in more efficiency in cloud management. There are great technologies out there, so it's up to you to use them on the best appropriate way. Many of those technologies are also free. Some are provided for a very, very favorable pricing. So just, you need to be competitive in that respect. We made bits over time. It was a pleasure for me talking to you. I don't know if you have any questions, ideas, comments. If not, thank you very much.